Good evening. It is 6:10. I am calling the El Centro City Council meeting to order. City Clerk, can I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Carter,
Present.
Councilmember Elliott,
Present.
Councilmember Marroquin,
Present.
Mayor Potem Camarena,
Present.
Mayor Crenshaw.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
We are ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing, please, for the invitation.
Dear God, we thank you for this day that you've given us. We pray for your wisdom and your direction, Lord God, to cover and meet the needs of your people, Lord. We pray for the spirit of unity, and we pray, Lord God, for just the love for one another. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
City Clerk or City Attorney, do you have anything to report out from closed session?
There are no reportable actions from closed session.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
The City Council welcomes your input. At this time, members of the public may address the City Council on any matter not listed in the posted agenda. Pursuant to the Brown Act, no action will be taken on any issues brought forth under public comments. We ask that you please complete a speaker slip and submit to the City Clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Although you are not required to identify yourself, this information on the speaker slip assists the mayor and all persons wishing to address the council are recognized, and also assist the city clerk in preparing the city council minutes. Unless the mayor extends your time, there will be a 3-minute time limit for each public presentation. Any information provided on the speaker slip is voluntary and will be public record. Start off with in items number 6 and number 10 will be pulled and will be brought up at a future meeting. And that, I do have some speaker slips here, and if I can have Tony Ramos.
Yeah, gentlemen, council, my name is Tony Ramos. I come here regarding a complaint. I guess I made a city employee. 2 departments decided it was unfounded and that I had no way to go, which is contrary to what I believe. Also, this complaint is pending with the Trinity Group. They don't know where to go through with this. This includes you too, Mr. Sawyer. And we feel that you have, Mr. Sawyer, created
lithium-ion battery thermal runaway event. And I believe you said it's important to identify gaps before a real emergency, and I couldn't agree with you more. My only question is, why would we apply that principle to an organophosphate spill, but not to one of the largest utility-scale battery storage facilities ever proposed for our region? And I also want to respectfully address the false claim repeated that battery fires like those we've seen will never happen again, because the industry has learned from them. That's a repeated assertion from members of IVEDC, and the historical record does not support that misinformation at all. So 2019, we had the McMicken Battery Energy Storage Facility in Arizona. 2022, we had the Elkhorn Battery Facility at Moss Landing. 2024, we had the Gateway Energy Storage Facility in Otay Mesa. And then again in 2025, we had the Moss Landing event that resulted in evacuations, highway closures, extensive air monitoring, and a little more than 12 hours ago, a Best fire in Germany was reported. So luckily, California has had an appropriate response to these types of events. And rather than concluding that they could never happen again, legislature passed Senate Bill 283, the Clean Energy Safety Act, which suggests that these risks, if they'd been truly eliminated, there would be no need for statewide legislation. So these incidents demonstrate that while the industry continues to improve, the risk has not been eliminated. And that's why I believe the same standard that you praise for the emergency preparedness exercises should be applied to advanced manufacturing industries as well. So if anything, they should be held to a higher standard before that type of risk becomes part of our community.
Time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next public comment is Jake Tyson.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm Jake Tyson. We keep hearing that data centers are necessary because of America must compete with China. But what does that actually mean? The serious argument is that the United States needs domestic computing power, advanced computer chips, reliable energy, secure networks, and strong artificial intelligence systems so we are not dependent on a foreign rival. That is legitimate national discussion, but it does not mean every data center proposal is automatically good for every community. A private developer cannot simply say China and expect local government to stop asking questions. Who owns the project? What will the facility actually do? Is it supporting American research, medicine, manufacturing, cybersecurity, or national defense? Or is it simply a speculative project trying to secure cheap land, water, and electricity? How many permanent jobs will it create? How will it pay for the power infrastructure? How much water will it use? What pollution, noise, fire risk, and emergency service burdens will be placed on residents? And most importantly, why should our community carry the environmental and financial costs while private investors take the profits? Competing with China is a national objective. It is not a blank check for developers. Patriotism does not require us to sacrifice our water, our farmland, our health, our neighborhoods, or our public trust. In fact, protecting those resources is also part of protecting America. A strong country does not destroy the community in the name of national progress. A strong country develops technology responsibly, transparently, and with the consent of the people who will live with the consequences. So when someone says the project is necessary to compete with China, this council should demand proof, not slogans. National security must never become an excuse to bypass local accountability. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Tyson. City Clerk, do we have any further comments or online?
We have none, Mayor.
Seeing that, we'll move into our presentation and announcements. And our next item number 1 is the City of El Centro proclamation to Parks and Recreation Month, which I see is quite the representation here. You guys are wondering, should we sit down?
Wait, aren't you going to read the proclamation?
Well, I didn't know which one you wanted to do first. I'll do my end. So we have a proclamation for Parks and Recreation Month, July 2026. Whereas parks and recreation programs are essential to a thriving community, providing opportunities that enhance the health, wellness, and quality of life of individuals. And through the parks and recreation programs, communities benefit from opportunities that promote wellness, reduce the risk of chronic disease, childhood obesity, and provide therapeutic recreational services. And the City of El Centro provides inclusive programs and services for at-risk youth, as well as individuals with intellectual and physical disabilities. And the Parks and Recreation spaces inspire residents through access to natural and outdoor recreational or recreation, while supporting the preservation of historic, natural, and cultural assets within our community. Whereas the mayor and city council recognizes and appreciates the dedicated efforts of the park and recreational professionals and volunteers and the community partners who work tirelessly and provide safe, inclusive, and accessible recreational opportunities for all residents. Now, therefore, I, Michael Crankshaw, the mayor of the city of El Centro, state of California, do hereby proclaim July 2026 as Park and Recreation Month in the city of El Centro.
Feels a little weird to be clapping for yourself, but.
That's right.
If you don't, who will?
Yeah. But I do want to thank the staff and the council. Over the last couple of councils, we have expanded the number of parks in El Centro, and we commend your leadership on that because they are an expensive undertaking. But I wanted to share with you, I think I've shared that I love to see the data. And so using Placer AI data, we could extrapolate using your cell phones and where you carry yourself everywhere. Just figures for some of our parks. I included Buckland Park. These aren't all locations. For example, it doesn't include Sunflower. It doesn't include properties that are owned by the school district because that information is more sensitive. But Buckland Park had 525,200 visits. And I highlight that because I know our staff who works in parks sees that daily. Yeah, you're looking at all the breaks. You guys can say it's okay. And also, you've recently added to our park staff. We are currently 12. We're going to be 13 in the parks division. And that's something that we're really excited about because you see the usage. And so through that, I wanted to just share these moments. The other one is programming that I wanted to just elaborate a little bit on. Rebecca, Gus, Leah, Gadi are all here, and they work more on the programming side. So we did include the adult center programs, which is a lot of our elderly population. Community center, which is 0 to 5. Alyssa was just here, but she left. And then, oh, there she was. And then youth center and the MLK, Dolores, Hope, Gus, all work for those programs as well. And you could see, I think you've participated in some of our programs through your grandkids. And so we see a huge spectrum of the community visit the facilities, and we're really grateful for the council support to carry out the programs. And that's it for me. I don't know what else happens next.
Well, I'd like to get the council an opportunity to speak on. Sonia?
I would just like to personally thank him. You see him out there, no matter summer, spring, winter, fall, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is. They're out there, they're busy, they're working. They love the community. You see them interacting with the community. Thank you for what you do. We appreciate everything that you do. It does not go unnoticed. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sylvia?
So I was sitting here reflecting on the numbers that you presented, and it's like, that is just amazing because, just simply the block party, the 4th of July, I know that I was at the Aquatic Center for a little while. That place was packed. So I think the residents have become used to, us providing them with all of the programs, the events, and I think they're looking really forward to it. And so I just have to commend all of the Parks and Recreation staff for the hard work. I know it's not easy to be outdoors at this time of the year, and
The
so
setups.
pardon.
The setups.
All the setups and the takedown. And believe me, I know that I've been involved in several events, where, I mean, not city stuff, just in my personal life, where I don't know what's worse, the setup or the takedown, so yes, that is a lot of work. And I recognize that because, I've been through a lot of that. And so, I just want to say thank you because I can totally relate, so.
Marty?
Yes, so this is a lot of visits all over the city. So this is to be, this is a big community effort. And the numbers, I appreciate the numbers that you're showing us and how big this is. So Buckland Park, almost 500,000 people. And this is a group here that represents a lot of the labor, but
Yeah, the
there's
parks
still a
teams.
lot more besides these folks, right? That really have to,
Well, there's a total of parks team members
Okay,
that are out in
yes.
parks is 12. We have one vacancy. But aside from that, we do work with contractors to help with some of the mowing.
yes.
But
yes.
with that much use, just picking up trash
Exactly.
and the water breaks that
Exactly.
these guys deal with.
Draining the lake, cleaning
yes.
the pond, all of
Yes,
those
or
things.
draining
are-
the pond or setting
Yes.
up for the children's fair. That's the
Yes,
team right there.
yeah, yeah. Big congratulations to your staff, all that you do, Gus. I mean, you put in a lot of time. How many lifeguards do you think you have, Becky? I mean, currently? 60 lifeguards at the Aqua Center, not all at the same time, but I mean, that's huge. And we try to keep it safe. And so this is a huge, huge undertaking for the city of El Centro to provide this kind of community participation. Thank you, guys.
And just to say what's already been said, a huge thank you to every single one of you, because a lot of people don't understand the true work that goes on behind the scenes. And I was one of them until I started seeing, how many hours it takes just to set something up. And we take that for granted because a lot of us just show up when it's time to start and not take into account all the work that it takes to schedule events and have everybody, there on time. And then to see the number of people that go to our parks, and first responders, 81,000, that's a lot for that little area, and it just shows that we may need more, and the 500,000 blows my mind at Buckland. But thank you so much, because all of this is families that are having that time normally away from electronics and so forth, and they go to events and they go to the park and they go to the swimming pool and they take their dog out, and they make all that's possible because of each of you. And so thank you so much for contributing to the wellness of our residents.
So one thing, coming up and then becoming a department head, we have our department head meetings and we hear about what the other departments do. And sometimes we just kind of phase them out. We're still focused on ours. And I've had the opportunity to work with different agencies for the city of Brawley and the city of Imperial. And both of them have fine people working in there. But I didn't really start taking note about the programming that happens with the parks and all the work that parks does. When you're a department head, you're focused in on your department, and if anyone needs help, we'll be willing to. But with that being said, I really notice the quality of our folks. Our folks. I mean, there's a job, and then there's just more to it. And I'm seeing the more to it. And being in this position for the time that I've been here, I've really gained a great deal of appreciation and thanks for that. Because if we all are honest about things, we're here for the community. this is your job, this is our job, is to make sure that we support our departments that can support our community. And you guys do that. I take great pride in, working with you guys and the work that you do. So I say that wholeheartedly, that you are appreciated, and by us, certainly by the comments, but by our community. So with that, I like to give you all a hand again. So.
Mayor, I want to add one more thing. I think one of the things that really sets El Centro apart is the level of collaboration. We consistently receive support from all other departments, and I do want to express my gratitude, police, fire, public works, and all the admin staff, obviously, because we're here because of the admin stuff. They do the hiring, the budgeting, but the team that supports us is unparalleled. I mean, I think the fire department has been at the MLK twice for 2 of our events. They've also helped us with hiring. Recently, PD assisted with the drone, and you suggested that at Gomez Park to take some footage there. And I do want to, just anytime we call anybody else, they're here to support. And that's really what makes a difference for our community, is that level of support that we can lean on each other. I just want to add to that because I noticed that that's not always something that happens in other cities. So thank you all.
Yep, that's correct. Well, can we have you guys come up? You're on the strong side of the hand.
Reflex.
Can I get you on that side, please? Chris, please.
Smile like you like each other.
Like a family.
Hold on. Yes. Oops. Listo. Thank you.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Okay, very good. And the next item number 2 is El Centro Rotary Club for adoption of the park at 8th and Vine.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, city officials, and council members, thank you so much for your time. My name is Brandon Lee, president of the El Centro Rotary Club. And today, the El Centro Rotary Club is proposing a partnership that elevates El Centro, hopefully with Parks and Rec. We've set up a small presentation here, kind of give a background of who we are, very short, and what we're planning to do with the city of El Centro. So short introduction, Rotary International is a global service organization. In short, we're a community-based organization that does good for our community. Locally here, we were established in 1921, and since then have done a lot for the community, both in El Centro and in Imperial Valley. El Centro Rotary Club is the oldest, the largest, and I would say the coolest club out here. Our motto is service above self, and I don't know any Rotarian that does not live by that motto. What we're proposing today is an adoption of a park on 8th and Vine Street. What we're asking is for a partnership, stewards of the community, an opportunity for civic engagement, and a space where the community can have special events, pop-up opportunities, and essentially we beautify the park, right? That's the biggest thing is we have a piece of land space that currently only has grass and some trees. And what we're proposing, or what we're trying to bring to life here, as you can see on the PowerPoint, it is that corner piece off of 8th and Vine. A lot of people drive by it, miss it, don't even know it's a park, right? A lot of potential there. It was, or it is, where our water tower used to be. A lot of single family residential, multi-family residential. There's a school across the street. Of course, Buckland Park's not too far away. It's a main street for a lot of traffic. And of course, there's that vacant lot across the street that has a lot of potential as well. So the park concept, what we're proposing is, again, beautifying this park. What you're looking at here is kind of the first illustration of the first design. On the northeast of the park, we're looking at adding a Rotarian signage and peace pole. Our peace pole is the monument that displays in different languages, "May peace prevail on earth." It's a neat pole. We have one currently out in Sunbeam Lake if you guys are interested in looking at it. Again, this space, we're looking at offering a large space for events, beautifying by adding color to the community, and of course, adding a little bit more green in life. So these are some of the trees that we're looking at investing in and planting in that area. We do not see a lot of colors here in Imperial Valley. You know, we only have 2 seasons, green and whatever other color is on the floor. Here we're offering different colors. I think that it'll really make the park stand out, and that main street provide, I guess, a new look for El Centro. This again is the peace pole. We have a total of 3. We've already placed 1, and we're looking to put 1 there at the park. Here is some images of what we're trying to bring to life here in Imperial Valley. Yes, our summers can be a little brutal, but throughout the year and other months, we have the opportunity to bring community to different spaces. Parks and Rec already does an awesome job. I think we have the opportunity to do something else in partnership with a community-based organization. So as you can see here, book clubs, movie nights, art and park, the ideas go on and on. Holiday events, pumpkin patch would be so awesome for the city of El Centro to own one in partnership with Rotary, and other events such as birthday, weddings, veteran barbecue, maybe even something for Parks and Rec because they deserve it. And that concludes my proposal. Thank you. Any questions, comments?
I've been thinking all along as I was looking at the aerial view, too bad it's not the lot that's across the way. You know, I know it's private property, but you know, that would have been an ideal because it's much larger. You know, my concern is, you know, parking around that area. I mean, as it is, Buckland Park, when we have large events or even when other organizations have large events, the parking is
Terrible.
immense. You know, that's an immense problem. And that was my only concern with, you know, in terms of holding those types of events there, because I think, this is going to attract a good sized crowd. But, what it'll do to parking.
Absolutely, Councilmember,
Yeah.
Councilor, I got tongue twisted. Absolutely. You've got a point, but I guess my question or my response would be, we have a school across the street, right? And that school draws a lot of traffic every morning. You see them park, and they all know how to park. Everybody knows how to park, right? We have ample parking on 8th, and we have a parking available on Vine. What we're asking for is something that's not gonna have cars there all the time. There'll be occasions, maybe, once, twice, maybe a few times a month, where there'll be more cars than usual. But I don't see this being like the mall where there's going to be a lot of cars on a daily basis. Thank you for your question, though.
And that would be a great problem to have when your events do get bigger.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Maybe
Yes.
there could be some discussion with the lot owner across the street if they'd be willing to assist us when we have events by letting us. I know when we have the Christmas parades, and I don't know if there's permission that's granted by individuals, but that lot gets full of individuals who park and just back their trucks up and enjoy that. So, but to be more, friendly, maybe we can reach out to the owner of the lot and see if there's, when we have an event, if they wouldn't mind, we can make some type of agreement with them. And you're right, there's the parking all around the school and on the sides. And I think to start, I think it'd be okay as we monitor to ensure that we're not being an inconvenience to residents as well.
Thank you.
So I really agree. I love the concept. I mean, anything that we can do to beautify our city is always a positive. I am one of those people that sit in that lot with my truck and my grandkids, watch the Christmas from there. So, and I also appreciate a person who is like me, who just makes up words. So colorifying.
Yeah, it happens.
No, it was. I'm borrowing it now. It's part of my vocabulary.
I'm a busy dad. But Mayor Crenshaw, I do want to add, we're not asking for any type of budget change or any additional workload on the city of El Centro. What we're asking for is for you to allow us to rename the park, allow us to beautify the park, and then the city can continue to maintain it the way it is. Of course, the Rotarians are going to be proud owners of the park, meaning by name, right? And we'll be there to continue to beautify it and grow seasonal plants and so forth. Thank you.
Brandon, I did see that you talked about community gardening. Will there be room enough for that? Or is that just a concept?
It is a concept. Everything is currently in its initial or first design.
Okay.
We do want to, I guess, gain permission from the city of El Centro first, or see with a potential pathway to propose our final design with you guys.
Okay.
So I think obviously our Adriana will be our point of contact through the channels, but yeah, I was already checking, are you guys good with this? And the answer was yes. So it certainly looks like a partnership can be formed here. So
great. Thank you so
Especially
much.
on the roller rink.
Oh yeah.
They already know we're not letting go of the roller rink concept. We need one for indoors for our families and our kids. So that's what we've been talking about. Right, Adriana? So we need that. So thanks for jumping on board with that.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to consent agendas, items 3 and 4. I entertain a motion.
So I will motion to approve items 3 and 4 under the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Call for vote.
Councilmember Carter, I need yours.
I pushed it.
Motion passes 5-0.
Very good. Thank you. Moving on to new business. Item number 5, discussion and any necessary action regarding amending Chapter 4, Article 3 of the City Municipal Code regarding wagering limits for card rooms. Angel Hernandez, our Community Development Director.
Hello, good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. The item before you is an ordinance that, if approved, would remove the wager limit currently present in our card room ordinance. So this is a background of the history of the city's regulation of card rooms. So in 1999, the city established card room regulations in our city ordinance and allowed the operation of one card room in the city. At the time, it was the Tommy's Casino and Saloon, which was located in downtown on Main Street. Since then, in 2018, that card room ceased operations. In 2023, the city was approached by Casino Azul LLC regarding their intention to purchase the Tommy's Casino business and begin the process with the state to transfer the state license to themselves, with the intention of moving that card operation to another location in the city. And at the same time, they requested changes to be made to the card room. The following year, the city council amended the card room ordinance, and among the changes was to increase the maximum number of tables from 3 to 5, allow the serving and consumption of alcohol and beverages in the card room, and establish new hours of operation. One item that wasn't changed was the wagering limit, the cap that was in place since 1999. So that wager limit is found in section 4-76.14 in our city code, and it established a maximum wager of $249 per hand. And that was first adopted in 1999. Casino Azul, they're the successors of interest of Tommy's Casino, has submitted a request to remove this limit in July of last year. City staff prepared a short ordinance and brought it before and sent it to the Department of Justice. What they did is they reviewed the card room ordinance amendment to see if it was compatible with state requirements, and we found they responded on February 6th of this year saying that it was. And just anticipating a question that back in 2023, when the city was looking into amending the regulations of card rooms, we did look at other cities, and one of the things that we found is of the 14 that we saw, either the ordinance was explicitly said that there was no limit, or the ordinance regulating the card rooms didn't mention it at all. So on the slide before you is proposed language on the left, and to summarize, the wagering limits would be decided by the card room owner, and it also would need to comply with the wager limits set forth in the game rules that they have on the establishment, and those game rules are approved by the Bureau of Gambling Control, and also that the bets and wager limits must be clearly posted for each game. With that, the city council we're requesting the city council consider the information before you, and if they seem appropriate, if they deemed it appropriate, move forward by adopting the ordinance before you. I can answer, sorry, I can answer any questions. And we also have Jay Carson, who is the attorney, and he wanted to say a few words as well. Thank you.
Hello, Jay. Did you have some words you'd like to add to that?
Yes, thank you very much. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Well, I just want to thank Angel and staff. My name is Jay Carson. I'm an attorney for Casino Azul LLC. I've had the pleasure of being down there for a few council meetings and meeting many of you. This has been a long process, but I'm happy to report that it's moving forward. I just got word from the business folks this week that the sale of the card room is finally going through escrow this week. And as Angel discussed, the amendments that we worked with on the city back in 2024 were largely focused around the licensing aspect of it. We made a few operational changes in there, but we were really focusing on the licensing aspect of it, because in order for the sale to go through, we had to get the licenses with the state and also with the city. So we've now moved through that whole process. And now we're back before you asking, really for a small change. As Angel discussed, setting a wagering limit in the actual city ordinance is sort of a relic of when these card room ordinances were first issued. And now, really the proper way to do it, that cities are doing it, is there's no limit set in the ordinance, but every game, every hand that's dealt has to be reviewed under the game rules by the Bureau of Gambling Control. So those are heavily regulated. All the rules have to go up to the Bureau for review. So that includes things like how a game is played, but also what the wagering limits are. And so that is all still going to be reviewed by the state. Everything is posted publicly. So we really view this as a minor operational change that allows the new owner to, sort of figure out what works in this card room. And I'd also like to emphasize that the space is designed to be a restaurant with a relatively modest card room attached to it. There's only ever going to be one card room in El Centro that's permitted by law, and this particular card room only has a limited number of tables, up to 5. So we're asking for this, minor change in the ordinance now that we're sort of through the licensing phase, looking ahead to, development, building out the new building, and opening the restaurant and card room attachment. So really appreciate, again, the work of staff to get us to this point. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, and we look forward to continuing to work with you all on this project and breaking ground soon.
Thank you, Jay. Council, does anyone have any questions for Jay?
I don't have a question. I have some comments. We want to move on to that?
Yeah, we'll move on. So thank you very much for that information, and I'm going to allow the.
I do have one question.
We do have a question here.
Jay, this is, I don't know if you can see it, Claudia Camarena. I have a question regarding when you say it's the proper way to do it. Are you insinuating that that's mandated, or is it's still an option? Are you here because it's mandated when you state that it's the proper way to do it as far as raising the amount of wager based on other cities?
Yeah, let me explain what I mean by that.
Please.
So, every city that has a card room ordinance is governed by state law, and ultimately the Bureau of Gambling Control. As Angel said, any change to a card room ordinance has to go up to the Bureau for review to be in compliance with state law. And what state law says is that every card room ordinance has to reference wagering limits in the ordinance. Mm-hmm. So when state law went into place to allow card rooms to basically require cities to update their card room ordinances, as you all did back in 1999, state law says you have to say something about wagering in that ordinance. And so what most cities either did at the time or have done since is they've realized that, coming back and trying to change, the limit, the per hand limit, or the dollar amount, when these businesses are, they're trying to figure out what makes sense in the card room, right? Do you have a low limit table, a minimum, middle limit table, a high limit table? Just the mechanics of trying to go back every time they wanted to make a change to change the city ordinance just really wasn't workable. And so what a lot of cities have landed on is following state law. They have a statement about wagering limits in the ordinance, which is required, and it just says that there's no additional limits imposed by the city, and that complies with state law. But all the regulations, all the restrictions, all the limits will still be in the game rules themselves that go up to the Bureau for review with state law. The Bureau has a list of approved games, things like that. So you have to fit into the state approvals in order to operate any games, in the card room at all. So it's really what I meant by that was, it's this requirement in state law that you need to mention wagering, but there's no requirement that you have to put a dollar amount in there. And in fact, most jurisdictions do not, to allow the card room owner and the state and the Bureau of Gambling Control to work out within the rules of the particular games, what the limits are going to be.
Okay, thank you. I was looking for the end of what you said. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'll ask council Sylvia, do you have any comments about this topic?
Well, I recall when this item came before us, before, and I think at the time we had a concern about the limit. the wagering limit. And, so what is it that you're proposing to bring it up to?
So for now, no change. Right now, there's no proposed change to the games that are approved, and we're still, frankly, we haven't even broke ground on the new facility yet. So
Yeah, I know, because that was another thing that I was going to point out. I mean, the card room's not even open yet, so that's why I was wondering what you're proposing to set the limit at. You're just going to start at the minimum and then adjust as you go along. Is that what you propose to do, or?
Well, the reason we're asking for this amendment now is for planning purposes. Again, it's not a huge card room, only up to 5 tables. So as it's in development, both physically in development, there's a whole business plan behind these facilities, and trying to figure out which types of games to offer at what levels. That's the job for the business folks. I'm just a lawyer, so where we sit today, I don't have a dollar amount on what it could go up to or not, because they're going to have to look at what sort of makes sense for a card room of that size, what types of game to offer, what at what levels to offer them. But there will be no changes to the games, no changes to what the games are offered in the card room, unless and until they go up and they're reviewed by the Bureau, they're approved under state law, and then like the ordinance says, that they're posted everywhere. So it really, we're asking for this change now because it helps with the planning, as we're trying to get this new business off the ground, and giving the business folks some flexibility to figure out what types of games they can offer and potentially at different levels.
As you stated, you're just the attorney, but I'm not a gambler, so I'm not, that's why to me, $249 is a pretty steep bet, all at once. I mean, so that's why I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the dollar amount. But and as a matter of fact, I even tried to research what is the average dollar amount that they set to, but all I kept coming back with were sports types of betting organizations, so I couldn't get a true picture of what a standard or an average hand wager is, so that's I guess my concern also lies in the fact that we don't want people to become we live within proximity to casinos, and we know that people have a tendency to become addicted to these types of things, and that's where we don't want somebody to lose the shirt off their back because the card room limits are too high, so that's what makes me uncomfortable.
I agree with Council Member Maruquin. And I think, just for clarification, you're saying, I don't know if I understood you correctly, Jay, but you stated to just leave it as it is, but I've been reading it, and it says that the current wage limit is at $249, but today's discussion and action is to remove the waging limit totally. To remove it to $249, and is that making it unlimited?
So it just removes that cap in the ordinance.
Removes
the actual
what, the $249?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, it would remove the $249 limit in the ordinance.
And so when you remove the $249, what happens to the wagering limit?
So the wagering limit would instead be set in the rules of the game, which are developed by the card room owner and the business folks, and then sent up to the Bureau of Gambling Control for review in conformity with state law. So it's not a, we remove the cap and all of a sudden there are no limits or there's no regulation. It's the rules of the game are very detailed and specific, and they state, what the wagering limits are, depending on the type of game, how the game is played, and again, all that has to be reviewed by the Bureau of Gambling Control.
And so if the owners decide to put a unlimited amount on a table, let's say one table, what is the city's role in that?
So there are a few things. One of the things that we did, and the reason that we didn't touch the wagering limit back in 2024 was figuring out the financing piece or the fees piece of this. Back in 2024, the fee structure was relatively simple, and it was just a straight, basically dollar amount per table per quarter. And as part of the negotiations in 2024 to modernize the statute, what we instead landed on with an agreement with the city is a percentage of revenue. So basically, the more the card room makes, the higher percentage goes to the city. So part of the idea was aligning financial incentives for a business to grow, along with the return on the city. So again, removing that 249 limit again allows the business folks to make determinations on what entertainment, what games may be appropriate. Again, it's not a huge card room, only 5 tables. It's unlikely that they're going to have a no limit Texas Hold'em on all 5 tables, but that could be an option on one or 2 tables. Also things like sort of special events or tournaments that may have higher limits or lower limits. That's really what we're asking for, is just that flexibility to design a card room, design games that are appropriate for the size of the space and for the community. But taking into consideration certainly those concerns about no one wants anyone going bankrupt or losing their life savings. And that's why this card room piece is really only half of the project. The bigger part of it is the restaurant, a nice place to come, spend time, with your family, to eat. And then if you want, for those that are interested, they can go next door and play a hand of poker.
Yeah. I guess, let me clarify. I didn't want to interrupt you, but my question is, does the city have a say-so in the amount of wagers if it goes to unlimited? Or is that solely on the business owner?
Well, you always have a say-so over your card room ordinance, and so that's the mechanism to do it there. So what we're asking for is, again, initially here to remove that limit, again, for the planning purposes to help this business get off the ground, figure out what games work, and then so that we're not having to come back and discuss, okay, does it go from 249 to 349 or 249 to 549, or
and
every time that they want to try a new game.
Yeah. No,
Instead,
and we don't want you
all
to
that
do
regulation
that.
goes up.
Yeah, we don't want you to do that either, Jay, but the thing is too that there's nothing to base that on. And I think just for me, my personal opinion is that, we are one of the poorest counties in the state. I understand that the other ones are in some nicer areas with a lot more population. But this card room that's named a casino is right in a triangular of elderly, low-income apartments, a lot of people in that area. And I'm worried about individuals, though I'm aware that the state has training for their employees and so forth to quote unquote spot individuals who may have a problem. I don't know at what phase they would find them. And I think just to be able to start, and we would be more than happy, I would be able, and speaking for myself, more than happy to be able to work with you as you begin to lay a foundation to see exactly what the pattern is and the necessity to raise it to unlimited, to take off the wagering limit. I think that would be something that would be a little bit more doable than to make decisions on a building that's not even built yet.
Could I just briefly respond to that, please?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to say I appreciate those concerns, and just reiterate the part of the reason we're coming back here at this stage, at the planning stage, is because having that ability to design what those games are going to be is really important at the outset of designing the card room and designing the potential games that we're going to play. And when we have to go up to the the Bureau for their review and their approval. Trying to sort of build the plane while it's already flying is certainly a challenge for any business, and especially in such a heavily regulated business as card rooms. So we're looking for that flexibility on the front end, as we're designing, that business moving forward.
And I understand also just
Appreciate the
real quick to
concerns.
say about the, it's a more revenue for the city, but I'd hate to have revenue at the cost of others' livelihoods that at this point. So thank you.
Marty?
Yes. We have on our sheets in front of us the discussion regarding Casino Azul LAC is now requesting that the city council consider removing the wagering limit in the ordinance. So in my opinion, that is a big ask, going from 249 to unlimited. And my personal, I appreciate what you've already said about having, some guidelines and some for the business end of things to guide people through and things like that, and that this is looked at as recreation, and that the more the higher the wages, the more tax percentage that the city gets. We appreciate that, but whatever we gain as a city in tax revenue, in my opinion, could not approach the damage that a casino is going to do to our community. Claudia, Councilmember Carmena has already, reiterated, we are one of the poorest counties in the country, and unemployment is very high, and that is not a good area. So maybe these would work somewhere else, but I believe, my personal opinion, we have plenty of poverty already. We have plenty of unemployment already. We have plenty of families without fathers already. And we have plenty of behavioral health issues already. And I don't think that this would be helpful for our county, our community at all. I don't think that we should raise the limit at all. That's just my personal opinion. And I could go on, but I think you get my point. But let me say one more thing. I know this is not a casino like an Indian reservation casino, but any town that has ever allowed a casino in its city limits after 1 or 2 or 3 years is very, very sorry that they ever let them in spite of the revenue that they get. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
When are they thinking about groundbreaking? Has that been determined?
Yeah, I've requested, I've been following up with the representative from Casino Azul LLC, and they haven't gotten back to me regarding that. I know I requested that information also from Mr. Carson as well to give the city council an update.
Okay, thank you.
And just to answer Councilmember Camarana's question about what would happen with the city. So if the city council were to adopt an ordinance removing the wagering limit, we wouldn't be able to go back and say like, okay, well, that table it needs to, they wouldn't come back to us to say that, okay, well, we're going to have unlimited tables on these days or anything like that. No. There's other aspects of the card room ordinance that the city would regulate. There's certain security provisions depending on the hours of operation and buffering requirements. So there's other things, but if the council were to adopt the ordinance, we wouldn't be able, like, the way I understand is like you're asking if like, okay, are they going to ask permission each time they change the limit? No,
so then we would basically waive our right at this point if we would agree to this. We would waive it.
Correct.
And they would do that. Okay. Thank you.
So I'd like to, when I saw this item come up, I did some research, probably way too much research. I got into the weeds of things, finding out about more than I ever thought I would about gambling and the regulations. And I started to realize that the state DOJ has their gambling, the Bureau, and that a lot of the regulations that were brought up, certainly understanding the concerns. In fact, I did some research on, the effects of gambling in areas. One of the things that I learned about is the ability to no rake, meaning that they weren't cleaning up or they're the host for each pot. there was a flat rate, and the age limit. What about casual poker games that occur, and how the state said that those don't qualify as, because there's no host that is profiting per hand type thing, which is called raking. So that was that information. But and it was a player versus player type thing. Then I started looking into the regulation compliances, the control of gaming environment and prevent excessive losses to players, and then to protect its players, it encourages responsible gambling, and then going back to the integrity of the game. So it fosters a more balanced competitive gaming by having controls over limits or no limits. But then I looked at the other side of this, tribal casinos, online betting, and others have the no limit and everything. And most of them, as Jay was bringing up, these tables have different, you could play this table that has a limit, this table that's a no limit, push the pot in, that type of thing. I truly believe that for those who want, I mean, the accessibility, it's here. They could go to the corner where this might be, and then they can, it's going to be more accessible. But currently we have casinos in all three directions from here, and then online is just a click away. And so in my mind, my thought would be, I don't want to get into the weeds of the regulations. That's what the Bureau's for. We're doing our due diligence. So it came down to just the question: can we lift the limit, or could we place a different limit? And all the answers were, it was conflicting, but I didn't see the issue with raising or taking the limit off. I wasn't as concerned as some of the brats that were right now, that it was going to immediately have an impact on our community that doesn't already frequent maybe these areas or these locations anyhow, especially online. So for that, if we want to welcome in business, we want to be competitive with other jurisdictions, and if other jurisdictions are allowing this, and I did look at and spoke with. There was a card room that's very similar to this restaurant card that I looked into, that I think it was in Chula Vista. And then I was looking at the impact that it had on the community. Outside of was there any crime that was associated? We did have internet gambling that came through here. I don't know if you recall, in 2 different locations, and it did have some spiraling effects outside. But these were different type of gambling. These were cards, and this was it lent itself to some unruly folks coming through. In this case, and if this was modeled after the one that I looked into, they didn't have those issues, spin-off issues. So I'm not in. I have no issue with taking the limits off. I truly believe that people are going to be as responsible as those people are right now today, either here or they can go to any or online. And I certainly don't want to, encourage gambling debt. Hopefully people play responsibly, but I think it's California lottery. I mean, how many people are we seeing in there doing scratchers and pickups, stuff like that? And that's a no limit. You could spend your whole check on that one. So I'm just saying it's readily accessible to this community already, and I just don't think it's going to have that immediate impact of people coming and losing their savings. And that was my take on that. So just to confirm, you're requesting that the council look at this, take action tonight in regards to lifting the limits for this particular request.
That's correct. And you heard the question. I don't know if it was rhetorical or not, but we did send the copy of this draft ordinance to the Bureau of Gambling Control to make sure that it's compliance with their rules.
And I just want to clarify, it is in compliance, but it's not mandated.
Correct.
And so I do want to say, Mayor Crankshaw, that we do want to be a business-friendly city, but not at the cost of residents blindly. And my whole thing here is blindly. I think that we're waiving the city's rights to be able to monitor the wellness, because another deceitful, in my opinion, I'm going to say deceptive thing here is that it's being called a casino, but we're going by card room regulations, right? I mean, this was presented as a steakhouse and card room. And, family friendly was what I understood in the past. But, usually a casino isn't somewhere you're just going to take your kids to go have, dinner. And so that's why I was confused, because I'm like, are we dealing with a casino or are we dealing with a card room? And I don't know if the attorney would like to respond to that, because, all the regulations, I also read them. That's why I knew about, all this other stuff about the counseling and the people trained and so forth. Am I understanding this is 24 hours that's going to be open on Adams and Imperial?
They would be allowed to operate 24 hours a day. They may reduce it based on traffic. It's between the hours of 2 a.m. to 6 p.m. 6 a.m. Those late evening hours, they would be required to have a security guard at least. Yes.
And
But they'll be allowed to operate 24 hours a day. But
so
as any other business,
24 hours a day.
they may reduce it.
Alcohol is going to stop at what time? Because I did see that they pulled in alcohol.
It would need to comply with the ABC requirements.
Okay. So if Jay can provide just a clarification for me, because we're talking casino, we're talking regulations of what I looked on and studied online as far as card rooms that didn't say casino. So what are we doing here?
Yeah, happy to address that. Casino Azul LLC is just the name of the business. The card room, but it is a card room, and it's operating under the card room ordinances and laws of the state of California. It's not a Vegas style casino like you see on tribal lands.
Yeah, because I was looking back at some of the paperwork, and it appears that the LLC made a very concentrated effort to be able to separate themselves from casino. And the wording in there says, unlike casinos, a card room is blah, blah, blah. Unlike casinos, blah, blah, blah. That was in the presentation that I read from the city. So that's why I'm confused. If there was what appears to me to be an effort to separate oneself from a different type of business, why it's being labeled as one, is that even, allowed? You're not a casino, right?
It's a card room and
room.
restaurant. That's the proposal.
So one of the things that I was looking at as card room is it's player versus player with the no host, which was the thing. And then the same with the blackjack. If they were to do so, it'd have to be a third party, or they had rotating dealers, which takes it out of casino. Now I know that we met with was it Jay? Wasn't Jay? We met with the representative, I think sometime last year, and there was a little bit of a discussion in regards to, not conflicting the name and trying to, but again, that's going to come down to a business decision by the business. But one of the things that, especially if the emphasis was on a restaurant, but very specifically, the compliance letter talked about that they had to follow the card room requirements. And so anything that I think that would be, would fall under casino would now take them out of compliance, which would jeopardize, I would think.
Yeah, I'm just saying that just the two, it just seems a little deceitful to me, even for those that may attend. Or confusing.
Any further discussion?
And something else that came to mind. I know that Jay mentioned that they would have security after a specific hour from 2 to 5 or 2 to 6 in the morning. so what happens before that? You know, is there anyone on site, or would it also put a demand on our own police department, you know, to monitor or to answer the calls, you know, if somebody got unruly? You know, I just, you know, that's another, you know, city resources that it would pull on, you know, if something were to happen. You know, this is, I'm just uncomfortable with this. You know, I think that if it's already set at 249, I think that's where they should start. And if it doesn't work for them and they want to come back at a later date after they've proven their business model here and that it hasn't created any issues for the community, for residents that, you know, that would frequent, you know, the card room, you know, then we can revisit, you know, increasing the limit. I mean, it's already there, you know, but those are my thoughts on that.
We don't even know when groundbreaking is yet, so, yeah, I think.
So I think that we have a great deal of information, and I think that we could probably extract enough to vote. So if I have a motion, the motion would be either to accept or deny, I would imagine, so.
I'll make a motion to deny the request to change the limit.
I'll second that.
Second.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
I wanna
so-
make sure.
Yeah.
So it would be a
Clarify
no.
the vote.
Let's clarify what we put if we don't want to change it.
No, it would be a no.
It would be a no. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, because the
Wait a minute.
motion
No,
was
because the motion was different
Not
than
to
what's
accept it.
proposed.
The
in
motion
Not
is
to
not to
accept it.
accept it.
Not to accept the unlimited.
Would be a yes.
to support that.
So
would be
my
yes.
recommendation is, so the recommendation is to introduce the ordinance. So
Okay.
if there's a council member that would like to introduce the ordinance, I suggest a motion on that and see if it passes or fails. If a council member does not want the ordinance to go forward, they would not vote for that motion. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Keep the ordinance the same, okay.
So based on the information that I provided, I would make a motion to accept removing the limit and allowing it to be, and I fully understand I'm on an island, so.
So we need a second on that?
There's no second.
It fails for a second.
Motion failed.
Yes, we did.
Okay,
So,
it didn't pass.
so the motion failed, and so we're not gonna,
Correct.
The limit's the same.
all right.
Limit hasn't changed.
Okay.
Is that correct, council?
Yes, that's correct. So the ordinance will not move forward, and
Thank
so
you.
the ordinance as it's written today stands and is not changed.
Okay, moving on, as mentioned, number 6 was pulled. We're going on to item number 7. You okay?
Oh, yeah, I was just looking at the voting from last.
Oh.
I didn't.
It never went up. Okay, approval of plans and specifications, authorization to bid for Gillette Road Rehabilitation Project. I'm not going to read all those letters and numbers. Abraham Campos, Public Works Director, City Engineer.
Hi, good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. This is a fairly straightforward and a grant-funded project. This is a resurface of Gillette Road. The segment, as stated in the agenda, is between Earl Street and Cooley Road. This is on the east side of town, just where East Main basically bends over. That's that stretch of land, and it's shown right here. The city actually applied for some funding here through our local ICTC, and the grant funding is 50-50. I'll go through that, but the project in itself is a cold milled and asphalt overlay. So what it will do is it will grind the road a bit, put in a new fresh layer of asphalt. We'll adjust as utilities as necessary and just restore the striping that's in that area. The grant, as I mentioned, it says 50/50. So we're estimating the cost at 462,000, and 50% would be state SB1 LPP funds, and 50% would be our local Measure D funds, which is the funding that we use for street overlays and any traffic-related work. The program supplemental agreement, which is a prior authorization that was done by council, was done in May 5th of 2026, and basically sets the framework for the funding for this project. The schedule here is we're trying to go out and advertise in the next week or two or so. So we're here upcoming plan specifications and plans tonight. We're expecting to be done with construction by the end of the year if everything goes well. If not, then obviously we'll delay a little bit further, but our goal is to get it on the December 8th. We do have to get the project awarded to meet grant guidelines. That's why we're here tonight, just to make sure that we're able to hit the box on the grant. So with that, I just recommend that we approve the plans and specifications for the Gillette Road Rehab project and authorize staff to release the project for public bidding. Any questions?
Council, any questions?
I have a question.
Sylvia.
Mr. Campos, is it only going up to Cooley Road because that's the end of the city limits?
Exactly. I'm sorry.
But what about, just like we collaborated with the county to rehabilitate Evan Hughes, is there any possibility of that?
I'll reach out, I'll make a phone call, see if they have any projects in that area, and just come back and maybe send an email with an update.
It would, that would be a shame because all of a sudden you come from boom, and then boom, and then you're back on rough roads again,
Yes.
so, and you know what, and that would be a shame also because, that's the route to the cemetery.
Exactly.
And I know that, it gets traveled quite
Mhm.
often, so, that's why I was wondering if by chance.
I
the
did not reach
county
out
would-
and to get an update on their side, but I will do that.
Thank you.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
That is a great idea.
If you want to ask them to pay for it, that would be even.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not
That'll
push our
be-
luck.
Saying we're here. All right, any other questions?
I think it's much needed, and I know it'll be
Yes,
very
yes.
much appreciated, especially if you can Councilmember Marroquin said, get that extension because there's some big holes going past that way, so.
I'll make some
Long
phone calls.
time
and-
coming.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
So, need a motion?
Okay, so I would like to motion to approve the plans and specifications and authorize the bid for Gillette Road.
I'll second.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, moving on to item number 8. Opioid Settlement Funds Community Enhancement Project, Renee McNish, Commander.
Aubrey.
Well, actually, it's acting, acting Deputy Chief, correct? Sorry, it says Commander here.
And you know, when I saw
Get it
that, I
right,
thought,
huh?
wait a minute, I know that he's.
Yeah, I was reading right from the script and,
We've established here, you can call me whatever you want.
As long as we approve your item.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, Acting Deputy Chief Renee McNish with El Centro Police Department. And tonight, I am requesting approval to utilize opioid settlement funds for 2 programs that were essentially designed to reduce opioid-related harm within our community. Now, these programs focus on prevention, intervention, and connecting individuals and families with resources before tragedy occurs. Together, these programs represent a proactive investment in the health and safety of El Centro. So before discussing what the programs are themselves, it's important to understand where the funds actually come from. Over the last several years, states and local governments across the nation pursued legal action against opioid manufacturers, distributors, and pharmacies for their role in contributing to the opioid epidemic. Those cases resulted in billions of dollars in settlements. The purpose of these funds are actually very specific. They are not intended for general government spending, and they must be used to prevent opioid misuse, reduce OD deaths, expand treatment access, and then of course support recovery efforts. These funds were essentially created to help communities address the damage that was caused by the opioid epidemic. And tonight, we are discussing how to invest those funds directly back into our community. So this slide explains why action is actually necessary. In 2023, Imperial County recorded 33 OD deaths. And then in 2024, that number increased to 123. That right there represents a 273% increase in a single year. Of those 123, 52 of them involved fentanyl. El Centro experienced a 155% increase in OD-related calls from 2023 to 2024, which actually mirrored the dramatic rise in OD deaths across Imperial County. So what this tells us is that the opioid crisis is not a county issue. It's actually an issue in El Centro. But we got to remember, these are not just statistics. These are parents. These are sons and daughters. These are members of our community. The opioid crisis is not something that's happening somewhere else. It's happening here, and it's affecting Imperial County families today. So when we looked at how to best utilize these settlement funds, we asked a simple question. How do we prevent future addiction while also helping those that are struggling today? The answer was to build a strategy that addresses both sides of the problem. Project Deter focuses on prevention, while the Community Relations Unit, that I'll call CRU, focuses on intervention and recovery. Together, these programs create a comprehensive approach to reducing opioid-related harm. So the first proposal is Project Deter. This program utilizes our Police Athletic League and existing youth programs to deliver opioid prevention education. And the goal is actually pretty straightforward. Reach young people before substance abuse begins. Through a structured 12-week curriculum, participants will learn about fentanyl dangers, opioid misuse, mental health, safe medication practices, and then of course, healthy alternatives. This is basically prevention at the earliest possible stage. And I think we could all agree, prevention is always less expensive and far more effective than trying to address the issue after addiction occurs. Project Deter is more than just education though. It's about creating positive relationships. It's about mentorship. It's about giving young people trusted adults, positive role models, and the information that they need to make good decisions. The program will also include measurable outcomes, and we will track, of course, participation, knowledge gained, attendance, and then, of course, parent feedback. Counsel and be confident that we will produce measurable results. The second proposal expands on our existing CRU, and I want to emphasize something that's actually very important. This is not an enforcement program. This is an opioid remediation program. Currently, the police department already has one officer assigned to CRU, and with council's approval, this proposal will add one sergeant and one police officer, creating a dedicated 3-person opioid remediation team. This staffing model allows us to provide a more comprehensive and sustainable response to opioid-related issues within our community. The addition of the sergeant is especially important. The sergeant will provide oversight, accountability, and program management to ensure that all activities remain aligned with the strict requirements and allowable uses established under the opioid settlement guidelines. That supervision will also help ensure accurate documentation, performance tracking, reporting compliance, and long-term program sustainability. Their mission is to connect people with services, treatment, and recovery resources, not arrest them. I'd also like to add that this proposal is not creating a new program from scratch. It's expanding and strengthening an existing CRU model that has already demonstrated its value through outreach, engagement, and problem-solving partnerships throughout our community. So when someone survives an OD, there's often a small but brief window where they might be willing to accept help. And unfortunately, if no one follows up, that opportunity is lost. The program creates a dedicated team that can respond during that critical moment. The team will conduct post-OD follow-ups, they will distribute Narcan, they will connect individuals to treatment and recovery resources. They will work with behavioral health professionals and community organizations. And the goal is simple: reduce the likelihood that the next OD becomes a fatal OD. So Project Deter focuses on preventing future addiction, while CRU expansion focuses on helping those that are affected today. Together, these programs address the opioid crisis from both directions. We are effectively investing in our youth, and we're also investing in vulnerable individuals. We are strengthening partnerships with healthcare providers, behavioral health professionals, schools, and community organizations. And ultimately, we are investing in safer and healthier neighborhoods. So these funds will be managed responsibly and in full compliance with settlement requirements. Project Deter represents a one-time investment of just over $22,000. And then, of course, the CRU expansion represents a 3-year investment of just over $880,000. All expenditures will be documented, personnel time will be tracked, performance measures will be reported, and importantly, there is no anticipated impact to the city's general fund. So tonight, staff is recommending approval of both opioid settlement funds. And I would also like to note that this proposal was actually presented to the Task Force to End Homelessness. The proposals received overwhelming support from task force members who recognize the value of connecting vulnerable individuals with treatment, recovery services, and support resources for our youth. These programs reflect exactly what these settlement funds were expected to accomplish. They prevent opioid misuse, they reduce OD risk, and they connect individuals to treatment and recovery. I'd like to leave you with one final thought tonight. We simply cannot arrest our way out of this problem. We must intervene, we must educate, and we must provide a pathway to recovery. These programs allow us to do exactly that. So, staff respectfully request your approval tonight. And with that, I'd like to open up to any questions you may have.
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I sit on the homeless committee, and this is very well presented and needed. And here in the El Centro, we really need this. There's a lot going on with our youth that a lot of people don't see or they don't hear unless they have conversations with the parents. Because if with our children, you can't elaborate on what's going on personal with them. So you really don't know. And this is needed. I talk to a lot of the parents. I talk to a lot of the youth. And I think that this will be very well used here in El Centro.
Marty? Yes, I understand these funds, are supposed to be spent for opioid abatement, and what I'm really happy about is that the fire department, sorry.
Well, you can call us the fire department, that's fine. Just going for approval.
That the police department, there you go, chief. So that the police department is getting involved. You guys are the boots on the ground, and so for you to be involved and, pushing this forward, I'm very, very thankful for that. I'm very proud of you guys. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Sylvia?
No, just a comment. So the settlement funds will cover this whole cost?
So that's actually a really good question, and
Yeah,
it gives me the
'cause-
opportunity to elaborate a little
Mhm.
bit. So you have to go through an application process to even get a preliminary approval, if you will. So essentially, the Department of Health Services will review your application and tell you whether it falls within 2 thresholds. The first one is the Mallinckrodt bankruptcy, and then the second one is the California abatement, which basically are the 2 fund pools, if you will, for the opioid settlement. The first one, the Mallinckrodt bankruptcy, it doesn't fall under HIAA regulations, so it's a little bit loose in allowables, but the allowables must fall under Exhibit E that was provided to all recipients of opioid settlement funds. The other one, the California abatement, is very, very specific and very strict on what they allow. So to basically make sure I do a full wraparound answer to your question, the Project Deter, if approved by City Council tonight, will be covered under the bankruptcy, the Mallinckrodt bankruptcy, and then the CRU expansion will fall under the California abatement.
Okay.
But we did go through all the approval process. This is kind of like that other stage. Although they say that this is a approved use of the funds, we still need City Council's approval.
This was like your proposal to get the funding, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Claudia?
I think it's great. The presentation's great. We're obviously very happy to be able to utilize these funds. And like you said, they're there are going to be some individuals, like we know, that won't take advantage of the assistance we'll give. But for those that will, through the Community Relations Unit, we're hoping that working in collaboration with other agencies that can assist us with our individuals who are using. I have one question regarding the Project Deter.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to know, is that just 1 year or is that 3?
So it's going to represent a 1-year investment of just over $22,000. I've been working with the Pell Director to ensure that all the curriculum, all the tracking mechanisms, if you will, would pass the sniff test if we were to fall under an audit. What I don't want to do is put the city in a position that if we fell under an audit, that we would not be able to represent that the funds were appropriately used and fell under Exhibit E.
And so once that information is available, will we be able to also expand Project Deter to 3 years as the other ones are? Because I'd hate to just see one year and then we lose that when that's such an important element.
Absolutely. At City Council's direction, you provide us with the direction of the city, and we will carry that forward. So if that is what City Council would like us to do, we can certainly look into doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, just a comment on that.
Yes.
There's sufficient money to continue this through years 3 and beyond. Currently, even if this were to be allocated tonight through council vote, there's sufficient funding through the opioid settlement to move this forward in future years as well.
So, but at this time, it would just be for year 1 to.
As a pilot project.
As a
yes.
pilot for Deter, but
Correct.
not for the others.
No, those are 3-year costs.
Okay, 3 years. Okay.
If City Council had questions on exactly how much funding was available or anything like that, I can answer those questions if you have those.
So had been in your situation when these funds came out, I had a bunch of questions for you and the council did a wonderful job of hitting them. So, but I also understand the difficulty of the expenditure of these funds because they are so regulated. And there's only so much Narcan that you can buy, I mean, by truckloads to pass out. So I applaud the department in its approach to and approval for this type of usage. One of the things I noted is, you know, the reaching out to the personnel to have a supervisor and a officer, understanding that although they're the human side of this is, you know, for all the right reasons, there is a danger associated with individuals and psychosis that are part of the addiction process. And so to just put, you know, people out versus officers, and then the need for a supervisor that's actually a grant management to make sure that we're not using monies or using it correctly, I think is great. The other thing I noted was we already have one CRU officer out there who does have enforcement opportunities because not everything, and I think if you could expand on that, that there are times where there'll need to be enforcement. That won't be the key, but at least there'll be one officer, part of this unit, that's really not kind of bootstrapped in that they're not supposed to do that, because there are going to be times from time to time that is the only option. Could you expand on that?
Certainly, Mayor, and actually thank you for bringing that up. So during the application process, I went into great lengths to discussing with the application team exactly what the parameters were for the type of personnel that can be deployed for an opioid remediation team. And what I stress is that sometimes these individuals who are trying to help can oftentimes become aggressive or violent. And would there be any issue with utilizing a uniformed officer who could take enforcement action if that were to come up? And they said absolutely, and even recommended that we do that because they do understand these things can change within a second. So they went into even further lengths to explain that if someone that was a part of the remediation program on site at a crime and had to take enforcement action, that would not count against the mission of this particular program. And they fully understand that they also have to keep the entire community safe and not just specific individuals. So the police powers and authorities would remain intact and they would be able to enforce the law.
And I think that's important to have that ability. This is truly innovative. I'm really excited about this. I worked narcotics for many years, and I will tell you that it's the hub of several crimes. I mean, the war on narcotics is not just specific to narcotics. It's the drain of society and the medical, on the individuals, the family core. It expands way out there. And so to have intervention is truly something I think that every family would appreciate, and to know that it's out there. So we appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. And with that, if no other questions, entertain a motion.
A motion to
approve. Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
A motion to approve the opiate settlement funds for the community enhancement project.
I'll second.
Have a motion and second.
Motion passes 5-0.
Nice job, Deputy Chief. You got promoted from the time you came up. Moving on. Resolution of intent to submit nomination for census tract number 112 and census tract 114 for consideration of qualified opportunity zones. Adriana Nava, Community Service Director.
I'm always happy to
Oh.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rodriguez.
No,
What is it
he'll
called?
come back in.
Yeah,
What, does he have a slip?
I think I do have a slip from him. I'm sorry, Adriana.
No, it's okay.
Let's see if he wants to speak. I don't want to, I had to call him up last time. I apologize for that.
Is it for this item?
Yes,
Oh.
it is for this item.
Said no.
Okay, very good. Everything I said before, go ahead.
It was a great item. I think we can all agree on that. Okay. So the item before you is regarding opportunity zones. And so this is what we're proposing is a second round of a program that started back in 2017. In 2017, I can still remember working on this with Norma, who was then my boss. It was a very informal process. In this second round, the federal government is being a little bit more deliberate in the process and how they're carrying it out. And so Opportunity Zones 2.0 is anticipated to become effective on January 1st, 2027. So we're planning for the future. And today it is a nomination of census tracts, but the state governor will effectuate whatever they would like. But we as a city can recommend census tracts. And so overall, why we nominate census tracts is there are tax benefits associated with being in an opportunity zone. And there's a lot of discussion about capital gains, and really look this up because I wanted to make sure I understood it myself. I'm not an accountant, so pretty much it's profit. And so I provided an example for you. If land is purchased at $100,000 and you later sell it for $50,000, then the capital gains are taxed, right? And so this allows you not to pay taxes, provided that you continue to maintain the property. And there's different criteria about how long you have to hold it and the reinvestment, okay? So with that said, right now we have two opportunity zone designations. One is the eastern portion of El Centro, and then the other one, the census tract is really large and it encompasses the Imperial Valley Mall area. Now, one of the questions that was asked by the mayor was, okay, is the mall currently using the opportunity zone designation? And I looked into that, they are not. And so looking at what is eligible, where we have the current opportunity zone, that area is no longer eligible, the area by the mall. And one of the questions that was asked, well, why did they remove it? There was no conversation, they just did. And so the U.S. Department of Treasury, working along with the federal government, they removed certain census tracts. So we are asked to nominate new ones. Now, if you were taking advantage of that census tract, it's not going to negatively affect you. And that was one of the questions. And so anybody who did benefit from the opportunity zone is not going to be negatively affected. And that was part of the governor's FAQs. With that said, according to the research, Novogradec, which is a website that's being used for this, there is currently no usage of our opportunity zones in El Centro. So the census tracts that we are nominating based on the available census tracts is Census Tract 112.02. And so you can see the southern boundary, I'm going blind, is West Main Street, and then the northern boundary is Bradshaw. And when we were looking at census tracts, we wanted to zoom in into what are the infill opportunities, right? So when we're attracting commercial development, what we look at a lot of the times are traffic counts. And so this area of the city has great traffic counts and also opportunities for infill. The Valley Center Point is in this area. The area behind where Cardenas is located, that area is also. And then this, just north of this is Costco. So just south of it, that land is vacant. And while this is a very zoomed out and it looks like the land is small, they're actually really large parcels where development can very reasonably occur. So as to this census tract, the amount of acres is 304, so almost 305 acres. The level of poverty is 27.4. And then the median family income is 72.3% of the area median income. Existing residential, neighborhoods, commercial, industrial development are all within that area. And then in addition to that, there are city-owned parcels. As I mentioned, that's where the library is at. The Valley Center Point area is within that census tract. Now, the other one that we would like for council to nominate is Census Tract 114. Within this area, we also have a lot of infill opportunities, and there's a great amount of industrial property. Some of the packing sheds are located within these portions of the city. Also rail, I want to mention that. So this census tract is 9,064 acres, 28.13% of poverty. And then existing within that area are residential, commercial, and industrial opportunities, as well as proximity to employment centers, one of them being the packing sheds. So in addition to that, both of the census tracts are considered rural. And why does that matter? Because the census tracts are rural, investors get larger tax breaks if they invest in them. Now, the other census tracts that are eligible are also within the heart of the city, and I can show you that through the links. Let me go back. So you can see here the areas that are in green are the areas that are eligible. If you look at this census tract, it is already largely built out, encompasses generally residential, and then the same one to the area to the north. And so, and then the orange area, this is the boundary that delineates the city limits. And so with that said, the ones that we are recommending are this one right here and this one right here. But council can make the decision of which other census tracts you'd like to include.
Any questions, Sonia?
Sonia says
Yes,
she's
I'm
thinking.
thinking.
Pardon? Yeah, so we've got a map that you've got up there.
Yes,
This is a great map.
and Angel did the map. I want to give him
Yes.
full credit on the maps.
Way to go, Angel.
Thank you.
So this is basically the beginning of a plan to start offering these places as, a tax, opportunity zones. Is there, what is the next step?
The next step is if council approves tonight as we recommended, to adopt the resolution that is before you that identifies the 2 census tracts. And then those, we also submit an application online, and then it goes to the governor's office, and then the governor's office can decide what census tracts they're going to approve. And this is happening statewide. So this is also the time where we can call our lobbyist, where we can ask to ensure that our census tract make it on that list.
That's what I was gonna ask, if it was statewide.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
State.
Yeah.
Are we competing for funds in some way?
We are not competing for funds.
So, okay, this is simply about a tax deferment and opportunity zones.
Yes. And also for us, the fact that we do have a rural designation, we offer the greatest tax benefits that helps us as a city
Yes.
in order to attract development.
Great. Okay. So let's say that the governor approves them all, the Sacramento approves them all. Then you would proceed to start advertising these as the next step.
Yes, and market that to developers that come to the counter. So Angel also sees developers as they approach community development. And so that's something that we can provide in our marketing literature and showing them, hey, we have this opportunity zone area. And as we work on as a city to develop the Value Center Point area and we work with partners, it's also a way for the city to create greater incentives for developers.
So do you have any sense of like this, being approved or not approved by Sacramento for any reason? Is there?
Well, the last time both of the census tracts we submitted were approved by Sacramento.
Okay.
So I think
It's
we
just
have
a process.
Yes, we have a strong chance.
Okay. Very good.
But this time around, they're formalizing the process
Excellent.
a little bit
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to get away from saying it over there.
So once it's submitted, like Adriana mentioned, to the governor's office for his, I guess, support, he recommends whatever census tract he decides, he recommends it to the Treasury Department. And they are the ones who make the final decision, and that is basically nationwide. So it starts at a state level, and then from there it goes to nationwide.
Okay.
But the governor only makes a recommendation. We submit what we are proposing. He makes a recommendation to the Treasury Department,
Yes.
and then from there, they are the ones who.
So
make
that
the
brings up a
final
question. Does that mean that the state is going to somehow lose out on some of this revenue? Is that why it goes to the Treasury? Is there any loss to the state? In other words, is that why? Okay. It's simply local,
Yes.
100% local.
This is just an incentive.
Okay.
There is no
Yes.
exchange of funding.
Exactly. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Great plan. Thank you.
Sylvia?
That was my question.
Okay,
Yes.
Claudia?
I have a couple of questions, so ignore my ignorance. So I need to ask so I can understand. The orange spots on the map on Census Tract 112, those are the areas that are going to be promoted for business, industrial? What are
No.
the orange?
The orange sites are areas that are completely vacant that present opportunities for the city. So when we were making a determination as to what census tracts, we look at the city and look at what areas are right for development. So if you look at the sites in orange, there's water and sewer available, there's high traffic counts. So it allows us to further market these areas. And so it was a way of showing the areas where there's already, where you're right for development, shovel-ready sites.
So like, is this the one on top on Bradshaw?
Yes.
Is that where the apartments are going?
The apartments are on the
Or is that-
southernmost portion.
Uh-huh.
So if you go down Waterman, right?
Right.
Waterman,
Mhm.
Bradshaw, right now, there's, behind it was where the old Kmart was.
Mhm.
So that's that area. And then where the second phase of the apartments is going is Via and Waterman, and it would be the north eastern quadrant.
And
The second
Could
phase
see
is
the-
scheduled right here.
Yeah.
The shiny new fire truck right there.
Yeah, I could see it. Just want to make sure. And so could you explain to me how, like the city owns that Valley Center Point, how does that benefit having it designated like this? How does this benefit
So if
the city and
were
or the buyer?
Yes, so if the city were to sell off a portion of that land and there would be investment by a third party, if they made profits on that investment, they wouldn't have to pay taxes on their profit, provided they met certain criteria.
Okay, and how about the area on the other side of the 86 where Pico is, all that area there's a lot of land there as well. Is there a reason why that's not?
So that
Considered.
area, opportunity zoo eligibility, okay, so. Pico Avenue is right here,
Uh-huh.
and that area is not eligible.
It's not eligible.
No.
Okay.
And so some of the areas, for example, in the area of Villa, we know we have there's a lot of land there,
Mhm.
but that area is also not eligible. And so when you look at the map, only the areas in green were deemed eligible. And if you look at these sections of the city, they're pretty built out. So the areas where there's more opportunity were identified as this other census tract, which was 114.
114. And I know that my understanding is that the city had some area annexed on there, and that area is not eligible as well.
No, if you look at the table here, not eligible
eligible.
are all the other areas in the peachy color. So you see, so all these other areas, not eligible.
Not eligible.
Looking at that area.
I know what you're doing.
Okay. And how beneficial was it at the mall? How much was the mall based
Yeah,
on that?
and this is what I was sharing, that incentive has not been used at the mall.
So it wasn't.
It
was
wasn't
nobody used it.
considered, no. And so that was the map that I showed in brown that identified that. So that was one of the concerns that we were going to be impacting anybody who is currently using it, and it shows that there was no activity.
Do you think we have would we be eligible to submit that again? I'm just saying because of the area, or it's not part of the area.
No, if you refer back to the map, it's identified as not eligible.
So we could do this and then have nothing again? No activity?
Yes, that can certainly happen.
Okay. How does, is that part of our being able to promote it or?
Yes. So in our marketing in the past, we have shared the area that are opportunity zones and new market tax credits. But when investors are looking at a community, they're looking at many factors, not just tax write-offs. They're looking at other things, traffic counts, other incentives. And historically, if you may recall that we had really low interest rates. Right now, interest rates have increased and are higher. And so now I think incentives they're looking for more incentives than they had in the past.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's
No,
all I have.
that's it for me.
We'll do whatever we have to get this, not whatever we have to, but we need to.
You see?
I just said no.
We do what we can. You know, I think, and I'll keep it very brief, that investors know all about this. I mean, it's across the board. So they're checking boxes as they go through when they're looking at investment areas. One of the things I like about both of these tracks is that it's equitable to the city. It's working both corners, if you be. So, and in areas that really, there's not a part of the city that if we can get any help to make it more attractive, and this is a win-win. So let's just hope that, I'm fine with the census tracts, the two selected. And then
Yes.
we submit.
And one thing, Eduardo and Clara, who worked on this item, there's a lot of research that goes into it. I know it looks simple when you're looking at it, but it's a brand new process. You know, there's many webinars that are very boring that we listen in. And so we learned a lot about Ohio and we're like,
Thank you,
so
guys.
I want to make sure I give them the credit.
I thought it was just darts.
This one.
There's a lot of thought that goes into it before we come here, I promise you.
Very good. So
You
you're
can see
looking
that.
for a motion to accept these census?
Yes, and approve the
Okay.
resolution. There is a
Yes.
resolution.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this resolution to submit this plan.
I'll second that, please.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, as I mentioned before, thank you, Adriana. As mentioned before, number 10 was pulled for future meeting. So we are now going to move on to, is that it? Task force reports. Sonia, would you like to start us off?
Oh, yeah, sure. We had our hospital board meeting. We were all in attendance. I did attend the 4th of July event at the Aquatic Center. Very nice. It was a lot of people there, a lot of people there. I have been going around and visiting our summer programs at the library. Wow. Wow. Very nice, phenomenal. A lot of the events I went and I've seen a lot of them. My grandbaby is only a year old and he just wants to keep going back. He just keeps crying. Every time he sees it, he just wants to run and run. So he's telling us that he likes it. He likes it. He loves going to the library. So I'm very pleased with a lot of our events. So thank you to all of our parks and recs and everybody that's involved in making this happen for us. And as usual, I'm out talking to the community, doing what I need to do as far as listening to concerns and seeing what people want us to do as a council. So that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Sylvia?
So, as mentioned, we were all at our ECRMC board meeting a week ago Monday. And let's see. So yesterday we had a special LAVCO meeting as, where I sat as an alternate for the cities on that. And so something that was discussed was the financial study that LAVCO did in order to determine and help along with the tax proposal that's coming up in November. Okay, so that was something, and I was also in attendance at the block party at the Aquatic Center, and then following that, I was out at the fairgrounds for the Ivy Regional Chamber of Commerce's annual drone show. The only thing about that is it's nice, but it's extremely short. Mm-hmm. And so, you go through, the parking out at the fairgrounds and the exit was a disaster. So, I think that is something I think that that needs to be worked on in terms of, getting people out of there. And so, but aside from that, it was a nice little show, so, and that concludes my.
Very good. Thank you, Sylvia. Marty?
Yes, it was, we've had 3 weeks off, so a lot happened. On the June the 17th, Wednesday evening, I was able to go to the Sure Helpline new leadership installment at the Eagle Lodge. They're a very important agency here in the county, and Margaret Sosa's been here for many, many years helping organize this. So hats off to them and helping the community, all that they do. They had, of course, they introduced their new people, but they had I think they had 5 people there that were on their SART teams that they introduced. So it was a big deal. They do a lot of work behind the scenes. Then on the 18th, Thursday, I attended with many other people, Senator Steve Padilla's town hall meeting at the community center. He was basically talking about our, I believe it was AB 675, and changing, taking over our local air pollution board and making it a 10-member board. And this is all taking place in Sacramento. So we had actually sent a letter in opposition to this with the thought that changing the board is going to, the changes that could come from a board change to mirror what San Diego does is very different than where we are, could extensively raise our cost of living here with doing nothing for our air quality. So it was well attended, and there was a lot of questions, answers, back and forth. So it was a good discussion. By the way, on Sunday, the 21st, was Father's Day, so congratulations to all the fathers. Good fathers would fix a lot of problems in our country these days. We want to thank God for all of the good fathers that we have in our community. Then on the 26th, on Thursday, I was able to attend the Kiwanis 100th anniversary. So that was a mile marker, 100 years of service for the Kiwanis Club here in El Centro. So we had about 26 past presidents that were there, and a big cake celebration, skit, and I got to sit next to Jack Dunham, who is a past president of Kiwanis as well as a past city council member. And so it's great to see the people there. It's obviously very old club and 100 years of service. God bless them. Then on the, of course, the 29th, we had our El Centro Regional Medical Center board. I'm still asking people to pray for our hospital and that this merger goes smoothly. On then obviously the 4th of July was Saturday, and with the block party and the pool party, there was vendors outside, and over, I think, 1,000, between 950 and 1,000 people inside. It was packed. I really regret that Mike missed the cannonball contest. And really great. So we had a great cannonball contest. What'd you call the foam? The foam. Super foam, mass foam. It's a huge foam booth that just squirts foam out all over kids, and they're wearing foam all over. There was foam cannon.
I thought you said phone.
Foam. I've never seen it before, so it was a new addition to, you know, the kids having fun, getting submersed in foam on the grass, right? Not in the pool. Just a reminder that the 4th of July, we did celebrate Independence Day, 250 years from the signing of our Declaration of Independence, but this is just the beginning of the year-long celebration that we should remember and sustain. We have a year to celebrate our 250th, and would encourage, I'm looking forward to our November event that we're working on, because it's going to be very nice outside in the evening. So we're looking forward to that, Adriana. Very anticipating. Yeah, we'll work on that. Thank you very much.
Just do show me the money?
Yes.
Yes. Right. So as far as, again, I just want to say clearly about data centers, AI centers, whatever you want to call them. Let me go through the negative stuff first. That this last fire in the Moss Landing, that was built in 2019. So in terms of technology, that would be old technology. Every data center is the latest version of technology. And those batteries, I believe, were not compartmentalized. I think that was the legislation that this young lady mentioned, and that's since become a law. So that indeed, that fire like that will never occur again in California. Certainly won't happen here in our county, because we don't have any old data centers. On another point, Loudoun County is about the third of the size it's in Virginia, It's about the third of the size of our county and has over 200 data centers. They're one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest county, and I believe they're the wealthiest county in the nation. And one of the, a board member that I know went to Loudoun County. He said, I'm looking at a data center. There's homes on one side and a school on the other side, and everybody seems to be happy. He drove around, asked a lot of people about data centers. People oftentimes didn't know what he's talking about because they just didn't notice them. And other times they were happy, fine with all that. So I'm just saying it was a good example of a really good experience with data centers there. And I think that's all. I just want to emphasize that, you know, we've got a year to celebrate our 250th. I want to keep that up.
Like, can I add something else too? You know,
Yes.
because I was also at Senator Padilla's town hall, and he started the meeting by stating what he is doing to protect our communities and our residents from the effects of data centers within their communities. You know, so he's got at least 2 or 3 bills that are in the works specifically for that. So we know that there were quite a few individuals there that have attended not only our council meetings, but the County Board of Supervisors meetings. And, you know, they also expressed their concerns that Senator Padilla is working hard on ensuring that our communities and our residents are protected, you know, from the effects of data centers coming into close proximities of our homes and our residents within the community. So.
Piggyback on that quickly. It's just that instead of having a moratorium, we ought to be working on, just like the county, our policies as to what our expectations would be for a data center if we ever had one in the city limits of El Centro, which I don't think we will, but that would be better. So there's no surprises. So everything is on the table. And if there's a bully type of developer, well, he knows what the policies are on the table and there's no surprises. So that's really what we should be focusing on, is what we expect, our expectations for something like that. So yes, thank you. So Senator Padilla is putting these things in law, but it should be onus on us to have our own policies before anything like that happened. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mine's short and sweet. Attended the Imperial Valley Continuum of Care meeting. That's regarding the homeless and funding that's going to be made available soon for Valley-wide, and the distribution of some that's already been awarded. Working with local organizations on for veterans and all that. Mayor Crankshaw talked more about the November event. And just wanted to give a shout out to the library. My granddaughter also has been going, and that magician show was awesome. She enjoyed it, and kudos to everyone at the library for the hard work they do. And that's all.
Very good. I'll make it quick that I did attend the hospital meeting, and we are continuing to try to represent the city in that endeavor. So we will continue to do so. We're also, when we're at the board meeting, we are the board of trustees for the hospital. So we are in a position to be mindful of both entities as we move forward. Moving on to the veterans, just before, no, go ahead. No, I'm gonna say the veterans. Moving on. So one of the things that we talked about is the 4th of July just passed, and we would have been hard pressed to try to really put together something that with it being the 250, that every fireworks show, every events were pretty much sold out, and they had been for months. So we kind of put our minds together, and we really wanted to connect the celebration of our independence with our veterans. And so we selected Veterans Day as an opportunity to work for the community, to show our appreciation, and then hopefully be smart enough that It's in November and the weather will be back down to 2 digits. And so we're looking at trying to find the location. I think that we have that down. We worked with the vendor to secure a show. And then we were also in conversation with the NAF in regards to having some connection with the military there as well. And then we're gonna, from there, we will spread out to youth groups and schools and see if we can't really bring this whole thing together as a community. The purpose of this is our veteran community is a big part of our population, either directly or indirectly. And so we certainly want to, any chance we get, and I would say on this anniversary of the 250 is a great opportunity to thank them again and again and again. I think every day should be Veterans Day. So, but we're going to just do one because that's all we can afford. So, and then that's all I have except for my mayor's mention coming up now.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, staff, and members of the public. We have some progress on the event we'd like to share with the community at this time. The City of El Centro is accepting food truck applications for vendors interested in operating at select locations throughout the city. To apply, scan the QR code or contact the Planning and Zoning Division at area code 760-337-4545 for more information. The City of El Centro is also accepting applications for engravings on both the First Responders Wall and the Veterans Memorial Wall. These permanent tributes honor the brave men and women who have served our nation and community, including military veterans, firefighters, police officers, paramedics, emergency medical technicians, and public safety dispatchers. For more information or to apply, contact the Community Development Department at area code 760-337-4545 or visit cityofocentro.org. The City of El Centro's Summer Recreation Program and the El Centro Public Library's Summer Reading Program are still in full swing, with a variety of activities and events for children and families to enjoy throughout the season. For information on upcoming events, schedules, and activities, visit the City of El Centro Parks and Recreation and El Centro Public Library social media pages. Thank you.
Wow, you're keeping them brief like I do, so very good, thank you. With that, we'll move on to our city manager's report.
So in the theme of keeping it short, I have nothing to report, sir.
Winner. Okay. With no further, that concludes this meeting. Thank you.